Important to set boundaries. It's really important to set boundaries, parameters. How do we engage? What are the rules of engagement? What does respect look like to you? What does it like to me? And all those different settings. It's so important because the truth is sometimes people will do things and people, look, in our flesh, we do a lot of stuff we shouldn't do, but sometimes people will do things just to push.
Right.
Like you said,
right.
Just to see, are they going to say something? Are they going to push back? How far can I go before they'll get upset? But people want to know where the boundaries are.
What's up? It's Lip Service. I'm Angela Yee.
I'm Gigi McGuire.
I'm L'Oreal.
And we have a special guest, DeVon Franklin.
Yo.
We all know him as the author of the new book, The Truth About Men, but this isn't your first book, so this is not your first rodeo.
No, it's not. This is number 4.
Number 4. And we love the book that you did with your wife, with Megan Good, about waiting.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we had a good time with that.
Of course, none of us waited, but it's a nice theory.
Well, most people who read the book have not waited.
But it's not a bad idea to try. I have to say, like, being in a new relationship, maybe things will go differently, like you said, if we try something different and get to know each other, But today we're going to be bombarding you with questions about our own personal lives.
All right.
Just to get your input.
I look forward to it. Let's do it. Yeah.
Nice. Because, we got issues. Mm-hmm. But I want to start with some things that have been happening, like in the rumors. And I want to talk about B. Smith, because I'm sure you saw this story.
I did.
And see your input. So, she has Alzheimer's. A lot of things she can't remember, and we know what Alzheimer's does, to you. So her husband has a girlfriend, and the girlfriend is living in the house with them. Yeah. And he basically didn't want to stop his life because it was a lot for him taking care of his wife, and she doesn't even really know exactly what's going on, but people feel like it's really foul that he has another woman living in the house. So for you, DeVon, I want to see what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, when I saw that, it was painful. Because she is alive and she's here. And when you take those vows, it's for better or worse, and look, none of us can judge. We are in that situation. So I don't know how he feels, but something about it just didn't vibe right with me, and also the desire to come public with it,
right,
and to do like a photo shoot and all those things. I just was like,
photo shoot.
Yeah, when you look at the photos and people, that was a photo shoot. That wasn't like a personal photo. Somebody went and took that picture, and I just thought it was just, again, my opinion, I thought it was in poor taste. And if she had all her faculties, clearly it's not something that would be done.
Right.
I don't know what it's like when you care for a loved one in those scenarios and the situations. Who knows the amount of stress that would have produced this sort of thing. But with that being said, it did disappoint me. When you read their book, which is a powerful book, which I think came out a couple years ago, if I'm correct, they have an incredible love story. And, it just saddened me to see that.
We were discussing this downstairs. Now, L'Oreal, jump in with what you were saying.
Okay, so basically...
Uh-oh, L'Oreal about to bring it. What you got?
So, I get what you're saying about publicly. Now, that's something I agree with. I think that taking it public is weird. That's funny. But as far as like you said, I don't know their situation, but let's just say this is the situation. She's not in her right mind. He's caring for her. He wants to be there 24/7, or maybe not 24/7, but as much as he could be there. If there's nothing going on between them anymore, and I understand they're married, but she's no longer in her right mind. So I don't think he can have sex with her. Wouldn't that be kind of like rape? That's weird. Like, to me, all of that is weird. So he has needs as a human being. And I feel like for him to have a companion or something he may want to be with, I think that might be okay, because she's not in her right mind. He's not dealing with her in that capacity anymore.
But sex is a want, not a need.
But
We
you're
gotta think
still
of it that
okay. True. But maybe it's like even companionship. Like, he can't really hold a real conversation with her that she's gonna remember tomorrow, or I don't know like how bad it is. But if that's the case, like, that has to be painful to go through, and maybe he needs somebody to lean on, and he doesn't want to leave her in the care of anybody else. So moving somebody else in the house was his option. That's how I looked at it. But when you take it public and bring everybody else into it, that's what I have a problem with. It's like, if this is what's happening and the family's okay and there's no outrage, then let that man do what he's doing and take care of his wife, because he feels like he could take best care of her, maybe. I don't know. Rather than a home attendant.
But they're still married.
Married.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're still married.
But see, my feeling is just, why not do things in order, decently and in order, which is, again, I'm to judge not lest ye be judged.
Yeah, this is just hypothetical.
But it's like, why not divorce her? set it up so that she has care and he's taking care of her, and then start the new thing. Versus I'm still married to her and I'm bringing my girlfriend into the situation. That just doesn't seem like respect.
But as a girlfriend, I would be uneasy.
That's true.
With
Now
that situation.
that's
I would be
true.
like,
Yeah.
how do you live
What?
in this
Right.
house?
I wouldn't even want to live in the next woman's house.
But don't you feel
Right.
like if he gets a divorce, he kind of gives up his power for say? So like he would have the power to say she was on life support to pull the plug. If he gets a divorce, he doesn't have power for nothing. So maybe that's how he's looking at it to keep his power.
Possibly. I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, we don't know all the ramifications are and what they
But
kind of
let's-
worked out before she got
Now
to the
let's say
state.
that she was on the other foot. Let's say the man was the one that was sick and the wife was taking care of him and moved in her boyfriend. Wouldn't there be outrage even worse? Because
Right, they'd be like, she's
Oh,
a
yeah.
whore.
because
I
of
think
the
so.
double standards of how, men can get away with certain things but women can't.
Yeah, I think they would definitely look at it differently if it was a woman who did that. I mean, I can't say for sure, but I'm sure there would be some type of like, damn,
And
how
would
could she?
he and how would he feel? Would he be okay with that?
Right.
Like would he be okay with that's just weird to me.
Do you think people care more because she's a white woman?
I think that has something to do with it also.
Yeah, he moved a white woman.
He moved a white
I
woman.
mean,
in.
I personally, it was just, the story in
story's
general. It
crazy.
could have
Yeah,
been any
just
race
the
of
fact
woman.
that
like
And it would
Tyler
have just been
Perry.
like, what? It's like, how did this happen?
Just the
This
fact
is
that they're
crazy.
still
You have to
married.
move her
is
in.
just- yeah.
Moving somebody in is like
Move her
next
close
level.
by. Move her
Right.
into the same home. And even
Leave
if he
the
wants to be the
house.
one to be there to take care of her, get a little side apartment and handle your business there. Have her there. Like, I just think that the respect level is at below zero.
Is that normalizing cheating now?
But see, I think this is a very, it's not, I don't
not
want
a
to say
common
it's cheating. It
situation.
is such an uncommon situation. It may be poor judgment, but it doesn't, and yes, technically this is quote unquote cheating, but it's so different in that it's an extreme situation.
Yeah, it's like cheating right in front of her.
Would you
face.
give your significant other their blessing? Like, look, if something like this would happen to me, I want you to still be happy.
You should.
Just-
Because it's a possibility she could have done so. He
Y'all
just
want to
didn't
hear
say it.
something crazy? My aunt actually said to me, and she didn't even say it to my mother, but she said it's not a blood aunt, and it's gonna sound crazy when I say it. But she said that if she passes away, that she will want my mother to marry her husband
What?
and take care of him. Is that
Whoa.
crazy? Because she says she wants to see him be happy, and she thinks that they would be a good match.
That is
Well,
That
But
is
they're not
crazy.
blood. They're not blood. They're
But
friends.
that's still crazy.
But my
so it's
aunt,
like her bestie.
back in the day, her best friend was dating this guy, and her best friend got really sick, or one of her close friends got really sick, and the close friend said, "When I die, it's okay for you to date him."
You see?
And she passed away,
And
and
they
they dated
dated?
for 30 years.
You see what I'm
yes,
saying?
and he just passed away a couple years
It's
ago.
like
Yeah.
some
Wow.
older thing like that they do.
I don't know that I'd be comfortable with that.
No,
Right.
back in the
Wow.
day, they used to sleep with like other people in the family and
Talk
end up
about
marrying
sharing is
someone
caring.
like.
I know, sharing and caring.
It's like
That
they.
happened in Devon's family. His dad slept
Oh,
with.
exactly, and that's what made me think of it too.
Yeah, it did.
Oh, yeah.
Because my friend told me his dad has his aunt's name tattooed on his arm, and he didn't never know, and he seen it. He was like, "What is that?" And they were like, "You didn't know he used to date your aunt first, and then he had a baby with."
Didn't that happen in the Jackson family?
Yeah, they got a baby by the same woman. One of them,
Was it like
Jermaine Tito.
Is it Tito and Jermaine?
Oh, interesting.
One of them
I didn't know
Jacksons.
that.
Yeah, they
One of
both
them
have a
was
baby
Jermaine.
by the same woman.
Whoa.
So,
So they
anyway,
got
Learn something new
Jermaine
on
and
lip
Tito or
service.
something.
That's a new one.
That's a new one.
All right, and then another thing we wanted to ask you about is the Bow Wow situation. I'm sure you've seen what happened. His face was all scratched up. Now, we don't know the details of what went on, in their condominium, but we do know that they both got arrested for battery. And it looks like she attacked him, just from the visible scars and stuff that we see, and from his statement from his reps saying that she attacked him, she was drunk, and she threw a lamp and beat him with a lamp and all of that, and he was
Jesus.
trying to get away from her. Now, as a man, what should you do in a situation when a woman is physically assaulting you?
Yeah, I think as a man, you do your very best to diffuse the situation without violence. That is the way I believe we should handle it. I don't know the particulars of what he did or didn't do, but if a woman came at me violently, I am going to do everything in my power to protect myself without inflicting violence on her. That is what I think should happen.
I've had people tell me that if you don't try to attack your man, then you've never been in love.
Someone told me that
Who has
before.
told you
Somebody
that?
has told me that because I said I wouldn't put my hands on anybody, and
Yeah.
they were like, "Well, then you've never been in love before."
I've heard that
No,
before.
you're
as
just
well.
not crazy.
Crazy. There's a difference.
Big difference.
You know what I mean? There's a difference. Are they? Is she still together? Or?
Um,
Love doesn't mean you
She
attack
probably
and
in
go
jail.
crazy.
In the
Love
ground.
doesn't equal violence. You supposed to want to love, not fight.
but there's been situations with people in this room, right, that things have gotten physical, and I'm looking at both these ladies here. So I want to hear your views now as you get older, like as far as you guys and you see what just happened with Bow Wow, and people are making jokes about it, but it really isn't funny, but talk about your own situations.
I've been in situations on various levels. There was a time when I was with somebody who was full on abusive and really tried to end my life. There was, that happened twice in two different situations. There was also a time where the anger had, leveled up until I kind of just like blew up and, violence came out then, and that was on my behalf. But, all of this was years ago. But I feel like as adults, we should learn how to talk and communicate and express ourselves without violence. But sometimes when you don't do that, things happen. I'm not saying that it's right for anyone to fight, their partner. But in some situations, you just feel so disrespected or so angry that you lash out. And
What can you do
just
when you
gotta
feel
try to
that-
hold that back?
What can you do when you feel that disrespected and angry?
The best thing to do is, I think, to normally voice it and get yourself out of the situation. And if you can't voice it in a civil way, get yourself out of the situation, because we all kind of know when our buttons are being
You better
pushed
preach.
to a degree, right? To a degree where it's like, wait, I'm gonna come back to this, but if I stay in it, things are gonna go
Something gonna happen.
real quick.
Yeah.
Remove, and then once you calm down, figure out the best way to at least express how you're feeling before you do something that you won't be able to take back.
Like destroying property. What do you think about that?
Look, I always
Destroy some property.
No, I had before. Like, I was in an abusive relationship, so yeah, I would do things that like just would like affect him because I knew I couldn't beat him because obviously he was always beating me up. So it just kind of ended up being like, well, I'm gonna do this to this because it's material, and I know that would get to him. You know what I mean? But I agree with you with the I do that often because I know I get very, very angry, and sometimes I say things that I don't mean just to hurt the person's feelings if I feel disrespected or hurt. So I like to take a step back, and even sometimes I got to tell myself, because I be wanting to just like say something immediately, but I know it's going to be the wrong thing. And I know I'm going to say something nasty, and I know like I'm going to yell. So what I do is it took me a while. Even like sometimes I, slip into it if I feel some kind of a way. But like in my older years, I'm kind of gathering myself. Like, you got to relax, figure out what you're angry about, how you're going to say it in a decent way, and do it that way. But sometimes people provoke you. You know what I mean? And you're trying to just relax and wait a second, and they like, well, you ain't going da-da-da-da-da. And that's when...
Right. But, I always feel like you can't really give people the power to be able to push your buttons like that because they're doing it on purpose.
No, yeah, and I understand that too.
Like, I think people want that reaction, and the best reaction is no reaction.
Right.
Absolutely.
And that's always been, and what you talk about in your book is something that I've always done, right? Which you say you count to 10
Yes.
before you do
Take
something.
the 10
And when
count.
I get mad, and y'all know me, you know that I don't react in certain situations. I'll count to 10 backwards in my head because I never want to put something out there that I'm like, damn, I took it too far. Now I'm wrong.
Nah, she funny because if she'll get mad, she'll start laughing. I actually took that from her, and it helps me. Like, but then the person will get mad because it seemed like you laughing at them.
Right,
yeah.
But
right.
it's kind of like just you're mad as hell, and you just
You know what's something that
Yo, let me tell you.
That's kinda crazy.
Somebody start laughing like that around me, I'm out.
That's exactly
that's
right.
what you want them to do, though.
You know what they do.
Because that means I'm thinking something really evil. Go ahead, Gigi.
Oh no, I was going to say that there's something that I learned from your book that I'm going to try to implement, and that's to think about the consequences. Like, think about in the long run what's going to happen. Think about the
Yeah.
domino effect that this is starting before you do it. When I read that in your book, I was like, yes,
Yeah,
I needed that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna use
you
that.
know,
It's like
thank
chess.
you,
If
yeah.
I
use
do
that.
this, then this person's gonna move here, then I'm
Yep.
gonna move here, and then this is gonna happen,
Gotta
and
be
then
10 steps
I'm gonna lose the
ahead, at
game.
least.
Yeah, I'm
because
definitely
it
gonna
helps.
use that.
You know, we all on certain levels are impulse driven, and so when you play it all the way out, you begin to say, okay, wait, is this, if I act on this impulse, is it worth the result?
Right.
And when you give yourself a chance to play it out, most of the time you say, no,
Nope.
it's not.
I ain't even gonna do it.
I ain't gonna even do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna step away. I'm gonna do something different. So,
Right.
you know, I really wanted to put that in the book, you know, as a way to really help us manage these moments and these impulses
gem.
better.
Because
you know?
in the
Yeah,
moment,
it's a
it seems like a good ass idea, and especially when like you going in,
I'ma get him now.
and then you think about it, and you
And
like,
you're like, nah.
because it's actually happened to me this year, and I actually last year because I forgot.
18.
It's a pretty new
So
year.
I had to really stop and think about it. Like, all right, this, that, and this is before I read the book. So when I started reading, I seen a lot of things that I put in my own life that I didn't even think about it.
Wow.
Like, that's something I'll bring back. Like you said, now I could think further. Like, how do I stop myself from whatever?
Yeah.
Oh, think of the consequences.
Yeah.
Imagine you
I
had
was
this
doing
book
it
10
just to
years
do
ago.
it. Yeah, come on. Where was you 10 years ago when I needed
Sorry.
Now let's talk about like disrespect. Okay, if someone talks to you crazy, because this is something we were discussing before you walked in here. Because
Yeah.
sometimes we get into relationships, and like you said, we say things that maybe we don't mean in the heat of the moment. And moving forward from that, right? Can you move forward from that when somebody says something that is so crazy that you're like, I don't even know how to handle this?
Well, if someone says, it's like in a relationship sense, you know, yeah, here's what I believe. A lot of times when you hear something like that from somebody, if someone says something like that, that intentionally or sometimes unintentionally hurts you, and people are smart enough to know, okay, you know, on one level, this is going to hurt, one level it's not. Like, so when someone's saying something, they say that is a huge red flag that cannot be dismissed. And and so many women that come to me, then I try and help them in their situation. There were red flags early on when this type of disrespect
Yes.
was shown. But because there was a desire to keep the relationship, there was a desire to see him change, they stayed in something that from the beginning was at a level of disrespect that never was at the level of respect it should have been. So as a result, they patch up that moment, they disregard it, and then it keeps happening repeatedly. So I think the first thing, the moment that there's disrespect, it is important to say, hey, wait a minute. We're gonna set the table for what is okay and what's not. This, how you just talked to me and what you said, I don't know how else you've talked to other people. This is unacceptable. If you can't roll with that, no problem. God bless. I'll see you later. But moving forward, I need you to know that I can't have another moment like this, because what happens is expectations then are set. And once you set expectations, then you can hold somebody accountable.
Right.
However, sometimes if you endure that disrespect and you just say, oh, well, you know what? He was upset. It's okay.
I'm gonna sweep it under the
There-
rug.
Yeah, and it comes a pile.
There you go. It becomes a pile, right? And we suppress it, you know, and then that suppression ends up, you know, like you said, becoming a pile. Anything we suppress, we empower. So I think it's really important when there's disrespect to call it out immediately. And also, don't feel like you're being petty.
Right.
Anything that rubs your spirit wrong, especially in the early stages of dating somebody, you gotta
Let 'em
talk
know.
about it.
And that goes for not just relationships too.
Friendships.
Yeah, friendships,
Family
work,
and work.
Yeah.
Business and
relationships,
everything.
anything.
Yeah.
If you feel like
Yeah.
somebody's disrespectful, even if they're like, "Oh, you being petty," no, you should bring those things up, because
Absolutely.
if not, it is going to pile up.
Yeah, and it's important to set boundaries. It's really important to set boundaries, parameters. How do we engage? What are the rules of engagement? What does respect look like to you? What does it like to me? And all those different settings. It's so important, because the truth is sometimes people will do things, and people, you know, look, in our flesh, we do a lot of stuff we shouldn't do, but sometimes people will do things just to push.
Right.
Like you said.
Right.
Just to see. Are they going to say something? Are they going to push back? How far can I go before they'll get upset? You know, but people want to know where the boundaries are in any situation. So sometimes it's like, oh, you want to know? I'm gonna let you know.
Right.
Here's the boundary right here. You know, so that way we can move forward in respect, we can move forward in love, we can move forward, you know, in camaraderie. But if I don't let you know that what just happened crossed the line for me, then what I couldn't stand here and I don't say anything, then all of a sudden that
It's
line
gonna go a
gets
little further.
Yeah.
there. I mean, way far.
You be a habitual line
Yes.
pusher.
Do you feel like some guys, because I do, I think some guys look at when you stop and be like, all right, I don't like this on, oh, you're nagging or you're being argumentative, but you're really just trying to say, like, this is not
Okay
what I'm
with me.
cool with, like,
Yeah.
or this not what I'm used to. You know what I mean? Now, how do you take that into account instead of them
Yeah.
thinking you're being confrontational?
Yeah, I think two things are important. One, tone. Tone is everything. So how you deliver it sometimes is as important as the delivery
you say.
itself.
Yeah.
So once you have the tone, right, where it's not confrontational, it's conversational. The other thing is that, truth be told, most men don't like to be called on their stuff.
Yeah.
Stay true.
Oh, you think so? Definitely don't.
So-
we don't either, by the way. By the way, neither do we.
The truth about men.
But so even when the tone is right, you still going to get some pushback.
Right.
That pushback is not your concern. Your concern is, I said what I had to say. I said it in love, because most of the time, a man will say that, but they take it in.
Right.
Oh, okay, got it. She didn't like that. Okay, even though I'm saying, why are you nagging me? Da da da.
I heard
I hear
heard
you.
you.
Yeah.
I'm engaging with you,
Heard you.
right?
Heard
And it's
you.
better to plant that seed.
Right.
And even if they say nagging, plant the seed. It's okay. They'll get over it, because in time they will see, oh, this is a woman that respects herself. She wants me to respect her, and those things are valued.
What about
over time.
withholding sex? What do you think about that? Like, if you get into something, let's say, you know what? Just for me to prove my extra point to you, you ain't getting none.
Well, I'll unpack this. So, it depends on, what stage we're talking about. So I was at Facebook just a little while ago, doing a lecture on the book, and the audience was predominantly women. And so I gave this kind of analogy relative to sex. I said, okay, so for the women in the audience, a month in, when you're dating a guy, would you give him the code to your phone?
We just talked about that.
The woman said no. They said, oh, no, you're talking about a month in? No. I said, okay.
That's what I
For
said.
some of you, in previous situations, why may have you given that same man you wouldn't give the code to your phone? Why would you have already given your body within a month? If you don't trust him enough with your phone, why would you trust him with your body?
What about your ATM card?
Yeah, right.
Right. Same
What about your
situation.
pen number?
Same, it all works. That analogy works. So going back to withholding sex, listen, my point of view. I believe we should wait until marriage. However, most are not going to do that. So my advice.
Let's say
there-
you're married, though.
But okay, great. So in a married situation, I don't think you should use sex as a weapon, because I think that can only bear really bad fruit for your marriage. If you're upset, talk about it. Now, here's what's going to normally happen in situations, because this has happened to Megan and I. When it's time to have sex and there's another issue, most of the time, as men, we may not know there's an issue with what we may have said or done until it's time.
Right.
And then I'm like, oh, babe, wait. Oh, so you're upset about, I didn't even know that. Right? So it's never that sex is ever withheld as a weapon, but sometimes the desire to have sex or not to have sex is
You
a
just don't feel
byproduct
like it.
of an offense.
That's when we have sex.
That's
We
right.
be laying there like this.
Yeah, like
Nothing. What's wrong? Nothing.
No emotion.
Why you not moving?
No, so withhold. You're hilarious. What's wrong, baby?
Nothing.
Something must be wrong.
You
What did I
almost
say?
you almost
Nothing. Are you almost done?
That's-
your face be straight.
But in that situation,
How was that? Was that good? Is that right?
Cool.
right?
What if you said I had better?
Oh, no, don't do that.
From you, of course.
See, now you done crossed the line.
Yeah.
See?
Last week I was talking
You
about
perform better.
you was
Stop being
lazy
in line.
tonight.
Stop being in line. Push it over here.
LeBron has off nights too.
Oh, you can't bring up LeBron at a time like that. All right, now let's talk about rebuilding trust, right? Once that trust has been broken, because this happens a lot. And I get emails all the time from people saying, okay, me and my girlfriend, I cheated on her, we broke up, I really want her back, but she's giving me a hard time, and vice versa as well. What are some ways that you can start rebuilding that trust?
One of the key ways is if you're a man and you have broken or violated the trust with a woman, you have to do your work in yourself that produced the violation to begin with. Because what I mean by that is a lot of times, and this is why I wrote the book, because, men have lust, they have this dog, and when you start to feed it, your desire is, how can I please this over anything else? And a lot of times that can lead to violations within a marriage or in a relationship. And most of the time, a man who really loves a woman and he has hurt her, even if he's cheated on her, he wants to make it right. But a lot of the times, the making it right is just getting her back, not doing the work on himself that produced the desire to go outside the relationship to begin with. So if you really want to show a woman that you're serious, it's not just about wooing her back. It's about, why did I do this? What's going on in me, and how do I get help for this? Who do I need to talk to? Do I need to get a counselor? Do I need to get a therapist? What do I need to do regularly? I need a consistent program. That to me, I think will speak volumes to a woman who really loves a man who has been hurt by that man. Seeing that man do his own work to get this issue under control, because when you're asking a woman to trust you again, there needs to, in my opinion, be something more than face value. Well, you asked me to trust you the last time. In this, I still got here. So you want me just on blind faith just to trust you again?
Right.
When you're not doing your work, I don't see that you're doing anything differently. The reality is, if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different result, we all know what that is. Insanity. So on some level, a man asking a woman to come back after he's cheated on her and he's not going to do anything differently is insane. So it's important for that man to do his work. And then when you have offended somebody, it is so important that whatever they need to make it right, that's what you do.
Right.
And too often, when someone has offended someone else, the person that has done the offense wants to set the terms by which they no longer have to say, I'm sorry. It doesn't work that way. When I've hurt somebody, I have to own it. I have to be accountable. And I got to say, okay, baby, listen, if you need me to say sorry every day, that's what I'll do.
Hey.
Whatever you need me to do to get you to a place of healing and wholeness and trust, then as the man, if you violated that trust, you got to commit to it and do it. And even when you feel like, I wish I didn't have to, well, guess what? You do, if you really love her. It's really, really, really important to not say, well, every time she brings it up. Well, a lot of times she's bringing it up because it never got resolved in the first place.
Exactly.
I'm not over it.
She's bringing it up because the wound is still fresh.
Is it better to be persistent or to leave that person alone and give them space if you're trying to get them back?
I honestly think if you're sincere about it, I think persistence is important, because even when someone's mad at you, that persistence still lets them know you care. And even if a woman says, hey, I need space, you can still give them space without, being overbearing or becoming a stalker, but to still say, hey, I love you. I want to work this out. I'm here. I'm sorry. Forgive me. There's a way to do that without it veering into the territory of abuse. But I think persistence is better, because, you want to make sure she knows you're serious. Because sometimes, even when she's mad at you, she still wants to know, does he still want this?
Right.
Does he still want to make it work? Am I important? Did he really love me, or was I mistaken this whole time?
Because if he disappears and gives you space, you're like, oh, so he's with her now.
There you go.
That's it.
He's with her, or
He's
he wasn't
been
that
with her,
important.
and he's been wanted to be with her. That's what you
Right.
think.
He was hitting me every day saying good morning, and now he stopped.
Right.
Now, what if you're not attracted to your partner anymore? Let's just say they let themselves go. They look a mess and they gained a lot of weight and
They're lazy.
Yeah, they're not dressing nicely. They're not doing just all kinds of things just because they're too comfortable. How do you address a situation like that and be like mindful of their feelings at the same time?
Yeah, there's a great book that I reference in my book called His Needs, Her Needs, by Dr. Willard Harley Jr. And Megan and I do this every single year. And in the book, there are 10 emotional needs that he lists, which are basically all of our different needs. But he says men's and women's needs are different. So every year, Megan and I get together and we prioritize what are our, emotional needs, so that mine are different than hers, but she knows what mine are, so I can become great at meeting hers, and and I know what hers are, so she can become great at meeting mine. One of those emotional needs is physical attractiveness, right? So in this situation you're bringing up, it's important to address it head on and say, this is one of my needs. I can't tell you why it is, but it is.
You look a mess.
And here's what happens, though.
And I need you to fix it.
But here's what happens. Exactly. When our emotional needs are not met, this is one of the main things that leads us to look outside of a relationship to get it met. All of us have needs. And if those, core needs are not being met by our significant other, whether we like it or not, we're going to start looking outside. And so when it comes to, physical attractiveness, you got to say, hey, babe, look, let's talk about this. I don't want to make you feel bad. I don't want to make you feel insecure, but this is one of my needs. And what can we do about that? Megan and I talk about it all the time. Look, she'll tell me, hey, babe, this is what I need. So I'm like, okay, all right. I'm not going to judge her need. It is what she needs. And I'll do my best to meet it by keeping myself in a look where it's good for me, but it's also making sure that she feels like I'm valuing what she wants out of it.
And obviously your needs change, so that's why you do it
every year.
once a year.
Yeah, because things change. They go up and down, and sometimes I don't even know her needs have changed till I ask her.
That's a good thing to even think about. Like, Gigi, you're in a relationship. What are your needs?
We ain't got all day.
What are your needs in your relationship?
I can say my number one need at this very moment is honesty.
Yeah.
Trust.
It goes with honesty.
Yeah. And just communication is really big right now. Like, we need to really communicate with each other on all levels. So,
has that been working? Have you guys?
It's like these are the things that we're working on. So yeah, we together.
Okay, so that's the first step.
There it is.
We're together.
Now there's a quiz in here, L'Oreal.
Ruh-roh.
For women, are you dealing with the dog? Okay, because L'Oreal, you're single, right?
Yeah, I'm single.
Okay. So, and I would love DeVon for you to weigh in on some of her answers here.
Okay.
Okay, if you're single, when you go on a date, is sex your date's main objective?
My date?
Yeah,
Or
is
the
it his
date?
main objective? Like,
No, it shouldn't be.
But is it-
not
do you
if
feel
we're
like
on a
some of
date together. No, I'm not just gonna go out on a date with somebody that just wants to have sex. But he probably does want to have sex like every other guy. So yes,
DeVon, jump in here, DeVon. Is that true?
So yes, I do
Yes.
think every guy wants to have sex.
I think every guy wants to have sex too.
Yeah.
But it's the difference between
main
wanting sex, but it's the
objective.
main objective from what he wants from you in that moment.
No, because then he wouldn't take me on a date. He would just try to come to my
Netflix and
house or
chill.
something.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so I feel like a date is more like you want to get to know somebody a little bit.
See, this
Or
is why I
spend
wrote
quality
the book. This is why I
time.
wrote
Because
the
I'm
book.
totally off.
Or spend that quality time with that person.
Now, let's
Trying to
hear what
woo
you have
you.
to say.
I mean, no, listen.
And meeting
this
the representative.
Well, that's why, in the book, as you all know, I mean, love is the master, right? So every man has love and lust. Love is the master. Lust is the dog. So you have to master the dog. And a lot of men will lead with the master. But it's secretly, they're really going with the dog. The dog is really their decision. So, like, for example, one of the, I sent out a bunch of early copies. And so there was a young woman who read the book, and she said, wow, I got a true testimony I've got to give. She said, I went on this guy on the first date, we prayed together. Oh man, he showed me the master.
I already don't trust him.
Run.
Right. Guess what? It didn't take long.
They're
By the
scarier.
third date, he was, it was revealed that also all he wanted was sex,
Yeah.
right? So even though he took her out and all that, it was only about,
They went to church,
let's-
all that. That didn't matter.
all that, man.
You know what he was
Scripture, all
praying
that.
for.
He was praying for that booty.
But by the
He wanted-
third date, it was clear what he wanted. And
Right.
so she said because she read the book, it actually gave her the information she needed to navigate the situation. Instead of being mad, upset, disappointed, she's like, oh, got it. This is what's really going on. This is what you really want. And that's not what I'm into right now. So as a result, it actually gave her the ability to deal with it in a more constructive way than how she said she normally would have dealt with
Right.
it.
Right.
So in that situation,
Right.
some men, their MO may be all that, the dating and the taking out and the spending money, but they still have the same objective that
Right.
other men who may be upfront about it would have.
Yeah.
So you got to sometimes give it time to see, is this man really, who I think, or
Right.
does he really want what most men just
But
do?
who's the better guy out of those two? The one that's trying to hide it to you, or the one that's putting it out in the front? Because he's being honest at the end of the day, right?
Well, you know what? I think that both, it depends on the situation. But I think at the end of the day, some men that are more manipulative, it's not better or worse. I think it comes down to the person that they are trying to manipulate.
Right.
For them to say, hey, look, I'm not just going to take this at face value. And sure, it's great that man said, hey, here's what I like. I think that's a good thing. Hey, all I'm into is sex. Do you want to do it? Great. If you don't, I'm moving. That's cool.
If not, swipe left.
That's cool. But I believe that most men are not that honest.
I believe so too.
I believe so too.
They may not even realize it themselves, too.
That's right.
If they don't think about it, they
That's
just
right. That's right. 'Cause-
operate.
Yeah, it just becomes a mode of behavior.
All right. Has someone stopped dating you because you wanted to wait for sex until marriage?
I've never said that before. I'm just gonna
Would
be
you try it?
No, I would try it. I actually, when I was reading the book and I was just thinking about things, and I know you and Megan did write the book about waiting, and I think if anything, that's what made me think about it. The fact that you guys talked about it, and because I don't know anybody that's done that, to be honest. Yeah, wait, but not till marriage.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I've waited months or something like that. I'll wait whatever, but it's not just oh, well, when I get married then. But I think because at one point I wasn't ready to get married.
Sure.
So maybe that's why that wasn't my objective. But now I can see that now because I'm older. Or
You'd be a
whatever.
great wife.
Yeah, I would be a great wife, obviously, but I just you also, I feel like you have to be ready for it. You can't just be because some guys think because you're a woman, you just automatically want to get married.
Guys do think that. They think
Yeah.
that that's your objective on the first date. They, in their head, think she's already picking out names for the babies and thinking about marriage. And sometimes we're just trying to see if we even like you.
Exactly.
Right. Which is a big
Exactly.
determination.
Now, Gigi, does the man you're with watch pornography regularly?
No.
Because you can't see it.
You know what? I probably watch more porn than he does.
All right, now let's delve into pornography.
We talked about
Yeah, I
this
know.
earlier, right?
Because I didn't listen. After reading the book, right, he talks about watching pornography and how
he
it can be
says
detrimental.
It's a bad thing.
Yeah. But I know up here we all have talked about the pornography. And,
Right.
Yes.
And you know what's interesting? Everybody here has said they watch pornography of things that they would never do. And so it's not necessarily like you watch stuff that this is reflective of your life, but it's more like, I would never do this, but this is crazy.
But this is interesting.
Yeah, I'll never do this, but I can't stop watching.
What is this?
No,
mean?
it's
Like a
true.
train wreck.
I don't watch regular sex porn, and I have regular sex.
That's what I'm
sometimes.
saying, yeah. We watch
I don't
stuff that
like
we wouldn't do.
regular sex. No.
So what do you think about that? Because you said that it is detrimental, and I started thinking damn, we always talk about porn.
Look, this is the first time I've actually had a conversation with women watching porn. So this is something new. I'm learning.
Women definitely watch porn.
Yes, every
I'm
girl I
learning.
know.
Especially with the government
Every woman
shutdown. Everybody was at home. They did a study. They said the porn numbers spiked
Is that
up.
right?
Yeah.
No way.
That is crazy.
I wrote it actually, from a standpoint of thinking about men and, seeing how destructive it is on men, and I think that, every man has to really look at that because, it is a world that can be very hard when you're in that fantasy world all the time. And then you try to live in normal, day-to-day life. It can be very challenging. And I talk about feeding the dog,
Right.
and that's where it feeds the dog.
What
And
about us though? Like for women, you think it's different or you think it's the same thing?
No, I actually think there's lust in all of us. And I think the more that we feed that lust, the more challenges we have managing it. And sometimes we aren't always aware what could seem casual. It's like, oh, it's cool, no problem. It comes out in other ways. So I would caution anyone, no matter what it is, that vice feeds the lust in us. And we always have to look at that.
Damn, I gotta
you know.
stop
I never
watching
thought of.
what I watch.
I've heard people say that they were addicted to
What do you
porn,
watch?
but I
You
never
gotta have
really
a
thought
fist
about
up my
it
butt.
the way I did when I read about it. The way you wrote about the people being addicted, like Terry Crews, I think.
Yeah.
like that. Was like dang to me because.
Yeah.
I mean, I watch porn a lot, but I don't think that I'm addicted or I could ever
It's not, like,
become.
affecting
It's not
your
something that I
life.
need. Yeah, like I'm not sitting at home for hours and calling
Like,
out of
damn, I
work.
missed lip service. I was
Yeah.
at home
But you
watching
know
porn.
that porn, I wrote the numbers down and I don't feel like being a nerd to go look it up. But porn has more viewers per second than Amazon.
Oh, yeah, it's in the book.
Instagram.
Yeah,
Twitter,
yeah. Netflix
I read
and-
it and I
yeah,
wrote
yeah,
what
yeah.
you
Isn't that
wrote
crazy?
down.
The
And I was
statistics.
like, this is crazy to me.
Crazy.
And
Yeah,
it's
that's
so
crazy.
easily accessible now. Before
Yes.
you had to order videotapes. Now you can just pick
Yeah.
up your phone and go on Instagram.
I've never watched porn on TV, on my TV,
Yeah.
though. It's
Now that's
either-
next level. If you got a videotape, VHS
See, but
tapes.
we were talking to one of our friends, and she says that she has sex,
Airplay.
while the porn is on TV.
She has sex. What? Say that again.
While watching
While
porn.
watching porn
While
on
watching
TV.
porn.
Like she'll stream it from her phone via AirPlay to her TV and have it playing on the TV while she's having sex.
Whoa. That's like
Mind blown.
a whole nother thing. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that is just something that is like the dog in her. See, is it okay sometimes in your relationship, say you're in love, to have lustful feelings toward the person you're in love with?
Well, see, I would say those are actually from the master, right? When I love the woman in my life, that love, there's a passion there. There's a sexuality there. There's a chemistry there. So, and that's a healthy way to deal with it because you're in a situation that has commitment, that has trust, and that has love. So to me, when I look at lust, that lust is, I don't care about this person, right? I just have a feeling, I have an urge, I'm horny, whatever it may be. And I want that feeling to be satisfied. Doesn't sometimes even matter who satisfies it. To me, that's lust. Love is, I love my wife. She's amazing. Of course I have sexual feelings for her. Of course I have passion for her. So to me, that's the master. And the master is where those feelings are coming from, right? Because if I just have lust, it's like it's independent of any sort of commitment or love that I may have for someone.
Anybody can get it.
There you go. There you go.
Now, does the man you're with hang out with other men who are known harassers or cheaters? That's a hard one.
Harasser seems a little bit harsh.
Okay, or cheater.
Cheater. Yeah. Yes.
Does that make you feel weird? Like if he's going out with his boys or something like that?
You know what makes me feel weird? It makes me feel weird when when his friends that are in known relationships try to start relationships or like get with my friends or family members. Like that's weird to me.
Yeah.
Because why should they even feel comfortable doing that?
Yeah, right.
Exactly. And it also makes me feel that behind my back, my guy is trying to get with their
They have an
girlfriends.
understanding.
Yeah, it's like.
But then when your girlfriends
because
all
it
link
becomes
up
weird.
and talk about it.
Well, no, what becomes weird is if I know that Joey has a girlfriend and then Joey comes around and Joey likes Tammy and then Joey and Tammy start speaking and become something, whatever. And then Joey comes around with his girlfriend or baby mama and then
you feel like an accessory.
I feel like
Accessory to a crime.
accessory to the crime.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
and then
Be
I
a
feel
grown-up.
shady because it's like I'm smiling up in your girlfriend's face knowing damn well Joey was just up in my girlfriend's
And then
face.
you have to be like, I don't want to be involved in this. Please don't have this around me.
And then
Exactly.
they gonna bring the side chick instead, and you not gonna be around either.
Oh.
It's gonna be Joey, Tammy, the side chick,
Damn,
and your
L'Oreal,
dude.
you took it to the level.
and that's how it
Went
makes
all the
me
way
feel.
down. Play out the
But
consequences.
that's really
No,
how
I'm
it
just
makes me
saying
feel.
that's how it be sometimes.
And that's really how it makes me
now
feel.
the
It makes
guy,
me feel as though because it's okay for Joey to cheat on his
And not only
woman
that-
with my friend, then it should then in Joey eyes, it's okay for you to cheat on me with his.
but the friend's
friend's
gonna
friend.
be kicking your back and like, why you always gotta bring her around? She's a hater. She's gonna tell so and so this and that. And then guys,
Your man
listen
needs to
their
be
friends.
like, look, I don't want that around my girl.
Yeah, but you know how it be sometimes.
My boyfriend would definitely be like, I don't want her around that.
Right.
He would definitely say that. Like, don't bring that around my girlfriend because she's not going to like that.
But that's why I asked that question and I put it in there because I think it's important for, especially as men, to look at who do we associate with? What qualities are in our circle? Because the qualities in our circle
Are a reflection
are
of
also a
you.
reflection of my qualities. And if I'm making the decision that, you know what, I'm trying to master this dog, I'm trying to become different, I got to hang with men that want to become different.
Right.
It doesn't mean I have to cut everybody off, but I do have to navigate how much I'm spending time with people that are going in a completely different
No
direction.
boys trip.
Well, not with the brothers
To Rio.
that ain't gonna keep you
That is
honest.
single. They gotta all be married. If your friends is married, then if the guy's friends is married, then he should be more of the kind of guy that you're looking for.
You would
right?
you would hope so.
Yeah.
As long as those married men, because sometimes you can be married and still.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
So
Now,
married
I
men
told
as
Devon
well.
on the Breakfast Club that on lip service, my friends all think that all men cheat, right? And so I just want to hear what he has to say about that because that's something that I specifically on this show have said that that's the word, that all men cheat.
I feel like I changed my mind on saying all men cheat. I think that a lot of men cheat, and I think in the industry that we're in, because that's what I always was thinking of all men, all the men around me. And all the men around me, I do think cheat. But that's because I'm in the entertainment industry. And obviously there's a lot of things being thrown at both sides
Sure.
of the fence. You know what I mean? Women and men.
Yeah.
So that's what I think. The people in the entertainment industry, it may be a little harder for them to be faithful. And I get it. There's temptations in the world, regular
They said the
work.
number one
Sure.
cheaters are doctors.
Excuse me?
They said the number one cheaters are doctors.
Oh, yeah, because they're never home, right? 'Cause
And they cheat a lot of time with the
with the
staff
nurses.
at the hospital.
Yeah, the nurses and stuff like
Didn't know
that.
that.
Yeah, that was a poll that they had
Learning
done.
a
And
lot.
they,
That same hospital bed
I've
you
always-
laid up in,
No.
they done already came.
I've always felt like
But never mind.
most men cheat or will.
Okay.
Given the
or can.
opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there's different levels of cheating. There's emotional cheating. It doesn't
Absolutely.
have to just be physical.
That's right.
I feel like cheating is anything that you wouldn't do comfortably in front of me that you do behind my back.
That's
Then
true.
That's cheating.
Absolutely.
And I
Absolutely.
feel like most men.
What about fart? No, I'm joking.
You should be able to fart in front of your significant other. I don't care what you say.
No, girls don't
That's
fart.
true.
Right? Thank
Listen,
you.
hold
Girls
on.
don't fart. Girls don't
Man,
shit.
Megan to this day
She
still
lets
ain't
loose.
farting from me.
What?
Really?
No, she won't do
Exactly.
it.
That's
Won't
what
do
I'm
it.
telling
Would you
you.
feel closer if she farted in front of you?
I don't know if I feel closer. but
You're
I-
not supposed
I would
to
be
smell your
shocked.
insides.
I would be shocked because she
Wow.
won't.
Maybe
she won't
she
do
does,
it.
but her farts don't smell.
I don't think that's the case.
Maybe she walks out the room.
You're not supposed. You have to.
Maybe
act
she just
like
walks
you
out
don't
the room
do none
and,
of
She
that
might.
stuff.
and then walks back.
She's until 7 years in. We're almost 7 years in. She ain't done it yet.
And
So-
you
farted in
never
front of her,
have you
though.
seen her go to the bathroom to take a number 2 or?
yeah, well, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But in
see,
terms of
I wouldn't.
Do you fart in front of her?
yes,
Okay, so you've already opened up that
Cause he's
channel.
a
totally open
man. Men will fart, burp. They don't. You guys are disgusting.
Listen, I definitely farted in my sleep and woke myself up like, oh,
my
sorry.
God. You can't help that though, right?
Oh, sorry.
I think it's funny. I mean, it's not like you do it on purpose because that's rude. But if it happens, if something slides out, you had some
I'm mad you woke
tacos.
yourself up. What was you eating that day?
Right,
I probably made tacos.
She had a burrito with extra beans.
But those are things I think that really
Tacos.
signify how much y'all care about each other. Like when you
Yeah.
can be who you
Sure.
truly are. You fart in front of me?
No, I don't fart.
Oh, well, I don't know what that was.
That was you.
It wasn't me.
You woke
That's what she
yourself
said.
up.
She said it wasn't me.
I'm just being honest. We cannot act like we don't fart.
I don't.
I fart.
Yeah.
I will fart on him.
He likes that actually. He likes to hear butt
I
open
will
up.
fart
I
right
already
on
touch
him.
you after you said that. You fart on me.
I
I will
really
fart right
likes
on
it.
him. I will put my butt right on him.
It sounds like you just farted just now.
Now, what about open relationships? Because that's been something that a lot of people have been discussing, and some people have admitted that, yes, I'm in an open relationship or I've tried it. What do you say to couples that are like, you know what, we're in an open relationship. I really feel like, I don't want to restrict them from doing their thing. I don't want to be restricted from doing my thing. As long as we let each other know what's going on and we agreed upon it, we're good.
It's I mean, look, every couple has to do what they feel works best for them at the end of the day. It's certainly, is a slippery slope. You are definitely on some level playing with fire, because I think it's near impossible for both people in a relationship, no matter what you're dealing with, to be on the same emotional plane. And no one knows how something like that is going to affect the other until you dabble with it. For some, it's easy to deal with. For others, you get into it, and next thing you know, nothing is enough. So for those couples that choose to do it, I mean, that's their right. It's their choice. Is it something that works for me? No. Is it something that works for Megan? No. To start introducing other people into our relationship, it's something about it feels very disruptive in a way that when I think of the long term, it would be very destructive.
When he thinks of the consequences.
There you go. Play the consequences. Play it
Okay, so
out.
we decided to have an open
relationship
relationship. So this
were-
happened. Next thing I know, the other woman's pregnant. I didn't put her
And that's
in
what
it.
happened. That's
No, you
why
gotta
it
think
didn't
of
work.
worst case
No,
scenario.
that's what happened. I was in an open relationship. It lasted for 2.5 years, and then somebody else popped up with a baby. And the reason that really, it wasn't even the fact that she was pregnant, because clearly that's one of the consequences that can happen if you're dealing with other women. She could possibly get pregnant. And it was the fact that he lied to me about it. Like I could take the fact that she was pregnant more than I could take the fact that he wasn't honest to me. When I knew facts that this lady was pregnant for
Sure.
him, and I confronted him about it, he still denied that this lady was having his baby. And it's
Wow.
just like, why lie at this point?
Life is crazier than a movie, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
You
The
know?
things that we
Yes,
end
it
up going
is.
through.
Why
Now,
Yes, it is.
what happens if you bring a lot more to the table than your significant other? Like as women who are working, sometimes we aren't going to date guys that bring the same amount to the table or bring all of that, and we end up, bearing a lot of that. What is your advice for something like that?
I think it's twofold. One, when Megan and I started dating, there's no doubt that even though I was, when we started dating, I was an executive at Sony Pictures, and I was doing fine, but she was doing better financially. For me, I didn't think anything of it. I was like, this is great. Two become one. That means we both got more resources. I never thought less than or more than. I was like, cool, this is what we're bringing to the table.
But you still were doing well.
I was doing
Let's say
fine.
it's a significant difference.
Okay, so what I was saying
Like
is significant.
Wendy's worker. In and out burger.
Well, I think it's important, one, to the men, because a lot of times men have this problem.
Yes.
And I think what it is there's an insecurity. And that insecurity is that society says to be a man, here are the things that fit in that box. You got to provide, you got to be the breadwinner. And if you don't, most men that don't feel bad about it on some level. And that is what produces the insecurity. So if a man has a problem with what a woman makes, it's because he feels like, how could I ever live up to that?
Right.
But what a woman or a man makes is not a measure of the person. It just isn't. So to me, I think it's important for any man to feel comfortable 100% with all your woman brings to the table, not just in financially, but professionally, personally, so on and so forth, and accept it. Don't say, oh, it makes me feel worse. No, she chose you. You chose her. That you should be like, great. The more she wins, the more we win. Now, here's the other part of that. That same man has to still put themselves in a process every day where they don't just freeload. They don't just get by because they know the woman is doing better.
Like, I'm hungry, babe.
Yeah. No.
Take me out.
seamless,
Take me
right?
out to eat.
Nah. You still got to get out there and stay on your hustle. Do your thing so that you can bring as much as you can to the table. Again, not about finances, but it's about effort. It's about energy. And it's like, listen, I'm not just going to benefit, and not put in as much as I can from an energy and from a mindset standpoint. Now, for a woman, I think it's important to not think, oh, because I make more money, that means I have more say.
Right.
Or for a man that's making more money in a relationship. It comes down to, if I'm choosing this man and this is what he's doing, do I accept him for who he is, where he is? Or am I accepting him and I want him to become different? And I think that's where the change comes in. If you met him and he wasn't really, applying himself in life and he kind of was, half doing it, then if you love him right there, don't then love him, expect him to become different.
Right.
And I think that's a hard truth. Because sometimes we see potential in the other person.
You're like, he could do this.
That's
He's so
right.
smart.
That's right.
I'm always trying to fix the sick dog.
Oh, no. You can't do it. You can't do it. You're not the emotional veterinarian.
You're like, come on,
it's
jump.
looking at me like
he's got to want to jump on his own.
Right.
He's got to want to jump on his own, and he's got to have his own motivation in life. And if he has those things, then great. We all want better for the people that we are in relationship with. However, we have to make the decision, do we love them as they are? And if we don't, then it's important to identify that before going further.
Now, I want to ask you this, and this is going to be our last question because I know you're doing a lot of promo right now. So let's just say we're very serious about wanting to settle down and get married, right? How soon are we supposed to discuss these things when we meet someone? And what are some indications that this is the type of person that is a master?
I think we should answer when we do it first, and then he should tell us if we're doing it wrong.
Okay, go ahead.
Why I gotta start?
Because you suggested
Okay,
it.
all right. So with me, I talk about it right away. Like, first date, this is what I'm looking for in my life. Not from you necessarily, but this is what because I don't know.
Right.
You know what I mean? But
Someone
I want to
marry me.
Yeah, I want to have kids. I want to get married. I make that clear from the first date.
Damn. Over a cocktail?
Yeah, but I'm not saying that it has to be with them. It's just like,
Yeah, see,
period.
I think that
Don't
I
waste
would
my
wait. I
time.
think that I would wait until I knew that was the person I wanted to be with in that way, and then, unless it just came up in general conversation. But I'm not gonna be on the first date like, okay, so my life goals is marriage.
Oh, no. I think more if you're having a conversation.
Yeah.
And it's like, do you want more kids or do you want kids?
He's like, do you want
Do you
another
wanna
drink?
get married?
No, but I do want to get married. right.
Whatever.
You see this ring? You see this finger? If you like it, then you better. Well, you heard Beyonce.
No, it's not that serious. I just feel like you should talk about things like what you want, like, period, as soon as you can, because I don't want to, even if it's my friend, like, you don't know, we might just turn out to be friends. You know what I want? Oh,
Right.
well, I talk about it on the podcast. Like, that's just something that I do. Like, but it's not like I'm sitting down like, okay, so I'm letting you know right now I want to be married. It's not like that. It's just like a
Hi, how you doing?
conversation.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah,
I want to get married.
I'm married. I want to be
My
married.
ring size is.
Yeah, no, it's not like
my
that.
ring size. Not my name is, but my ring size.
No,
Right,
yeah,
right,
I'll
right.
ask several different questions
Yeah.
or talk about several different things, and then that will just be one of the things.
Be like, yeah, you see the news today? Donald Trump is crazy. I want to get married.
I want exactly 2 kids with this. No,
Right,
not
right,
like that.
right.
I think for myself, myself, it's not something I think about right away until I feel like there's potential. Like, do I see myself even liking this person? Because what if I don't even like you? You know? And also marriage, this is going to sound bad, but it's not like on the top of my list of priorities right
Why
now.
does that sound
That
bad?
doesn't sound bad. That's what
That's
you
honest.
want.
That's nothing
And
wrong
I'm
with
in a
that.
There was a
relationship, but I
long
don't
time
even.
when I felt like that. Remember?
Yeah, you did feel like that, and I'm in a relationship, and everything is cool and smooth. So for some reason, I'm just not thinking about it.
Which is good. I mean, I would defer more to what you all have said in terms of, you're evaluating. So for that first date, you don't even know if you like the brother. So give it some time before once you make the decision, okay, yeah, I like him. Then, okay, great. Now, before we go further, I want to tell you some truths and what I think. Because a lot of times, if you don't even know if you like him, you could be wasting all this on somebody that doesn't even need to know all that.
Right.
They're not even worthy. They haven't earned the right to know all the things that you may want to share about where you're going and what you want out of life. So I think it's important to give it, a period of time, evaluate, look at the situation. Is this the right person who is leading with the master? What are their commitments in life? What are their goals? What are their ambitions? Earlier today, I did after I saw you all, I did a interview, and they asked me, what are the two, questions you should ask on a date? And I said, for women. And I said,
Are you married already? Because you don't know.
Are you pregnant?
You didn't bring it up.
Right, you're married, you got kids, But what are your intentions? And where are you going in life? And I said, the crazy thing is, like, right now, if we call an Uber or a Lyft, we go down and the first thing we check is it the right car? How do we know it's the right car? Because we put in a destination. If we're getting in a car that's going to the wrong destination, we get out. It's the same thing dealing with people. Where are you going? What do you want out of life? And if that's not where we want to go, don't get in the car.
Don't put me in this Uber pool that's making 6 stops before I get to where I gotta go.
Seriously. So it's important to know what a man's intentions. Where is he going in life? And then is that where you want to go? And if it is, great. Then go through the process, get to know one another, date, see where it leads. But give yourself time to evaluate. You may not, after 3 days, you may say, this is not even the right person. So I'm so thankful.
And then I just block them and just never.
Oh my God, you don't have to block somebody.
I do.
Why do you block?
Because they don't stop hitting you. Like, they don't. I'm telling you, it's crazy. And even when you block them, if they know somewhere where you are, it's
They
just
gonna show
like,
up.
Well, that's
it's
definitely a
just
red
happened to me
flag.
on Saturday.
That's a stalker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
lot
crime,
of
by the
people
way.
stop. But you think about it, I'd be places like the juice bar or something like that.
See, now you telling people where to come find you.
Well, everybody knows I'm at the juice bar. You're at the juice bar. We go to the juice bar all the time.
Right.
So it's like you just try to
We
look
throw some
and-
wheatgrass in your eyes and run out.
Look, y'all can keep coming to the juice bar.
Yeah,
Keep
Please,
spending
as long
money.
as you're buying something,
Yeah,
please
keep spending
on
money.
coming.
Keep looking for us.
But certain things are red flags. Like if you're on a first date, like somebody who's too touchy. I know you
Oh
have.
yeah. You had an
not
experience.
like
Don't
that.
touch.
Yeah.
Do not touch.
Like that.
Don't be trying to kiss my cheek. Don't touch me. Don't do all of
Angela,
that.
no, y'all know I had like a date from hell, and
Right.
the guy kept trying to like kiss me and like hug on me, and I'm just like, because we were out before, but with friends, and then I don't know whether he thought we had this amazing connection. I thought he was cool. I was
Right.
willing to give him
Right.
a date like
Yeah.
out of it.
Then he started trying to finger you under the table.
No,
You're
he
like,
didn't go that far. She's dragging it.
Extra, boy. Bam.
But when I tell you, I knew I saw the red
waxed.
flag. This was the red flag. As soon as he came walking up, he went to lean in to kiss me, and I was like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
what are you?"
like a simple handshake will do.
Yeah. A hug
Sir, nice
maybe.
to re-meet you.
A cousin hug.
I don't know why people be. I don't know. What
Another
that
bad sign is somebody who's on their phone all the time. I feel like
I'm
if
always
you're
on
on a date, see,
Oh, yeah.
I'm
that's
the
a
date
bad
from hell.
sign.
What?
You got to put
was.
your
I'm
phone
always on my
away.
phone.
Yeah.
I got
Very
that
important.
from somebody. Like it was contagious.
Very
like my
important.
ex-boyfriend, he was always on the
Oh,
phone.
yeah.
So I
Yeah.
was on the phone because it's like, well, who am I talking
Sure.
to? Myself. But now it's a habit of mine,
Yeah.
like a bad habit.
Well,
She's
let's-
Yeah.
always.
I mean,
Well,
that's
let's
some-
break that. I'd be like, come
Yeah.
on, let's put our phones away.
Yeah, I put that in the book. I mean, social media and phone use can be a date and relationship killer.
No, you're right.
Because it's a fundamental communication that spending this time with you is not as important. And so it just has to be managed. I mean, we're in a world where they are a part of our lives. So, it's like, okay, cool. We're on this date while we're at dinner, we're putting the phones away. Right? Okay, got it. So we can plug in one. Or when we get home, we're going to watch this show, but we're not going to use our phone. Whatever those rules are, everybody has to figure out what works for them. But it's important to have some.
She be on a date playing video games. I'm like,
No,
come on, you can do it.
What?
She's talking about like when I'm at her house and we're watching a movie, I play a game while I'm watching
I'm like,
the movie.
can't you just watch
I
the movie?
have ADD or something. I can't just focus on, like I have to watch both. I'll get bored if I'm just watching the movie.
What?
Yes.
Yeah. Unless I'm in a movie theater, because I'm not going to be ignorant with the light all bright.
Yeah.
That's the only way you could get me to like look at the TV and that's it. Like if not, I'm on.
If he's
playing a
rude to
game
the
and-
waiter, that's another sign.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
Oh,
a
that's-
huge red
Yeah.
flag.
Yeah.
for
How
me.
does
like
how does he
people
treat
It's
people
how you
that
treat people.
That's right. But
Yeah.
especially people
In service.
that can't do anything for them. You know.
What if he tries to go Dutch on the first date?
Yeah, nah,
Ditch the Dutch.
red
He
flag.
thought about it.
Ditch
Like,
the
Like, nah, red flag.
Yeah.
Red flag. I gotta
He's like,
say,
your part comes too.
Even in a modern day,
Listen, you had
even
2
modern
drinks.
day,
Right.
I'm like, nah, that's nah, bruh. Nah, you should
What
go
if
ahead
he
and just
What
pay
if he
for it.
pays but asks you to leave the tip on the first date?
You know what? I would say in a modern sense, I would say, okay, that's a good exception.
That's
But
still
why
a
is
red
he
flag
asking
But-
you?
for
You
me.
should offer.
But because if
Yeah.
it came up and you offer
Right.
and you're like, he's
I
like,
got
okay,
the
cool,
tip,
that's
yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
but
if
I
you offer,
think if
that's
you're
different.
taking her
But if
out,
he asks,
be prepared to pay the
take
meal
care.
and the tip.
Yeah.
what if he
What you
doesn't
need,
leave a
help?
tip?
That is a good sign that there's a problem. That he doesn't properly value, people and service and whatnot. That's class.
But do you
Yeah.
think you should look at the receipt just to check to make sure?
I be doing that. I just like to know because sometimes I slide a
I
little
heard Angela
extra.
say something before, like you gotta leave
Listen.
him a little
I
more
do because
than
I
that.
definitely try. I leave really good tips.
Yeah.
And so I do, and I hate that I do that, but I always do check because I'll slide a little extra if I
Yeah,
feel
I'm
like
the
I'm
same way. I was
comfortable.
out with
I
my
looked at her
friends this
do it
weekend,
before. I was
and we were celebrating a birthday, had a little dinner party, and since it was a large party, the gratuity was included, but I still slid the waitress a $20 bill,
Yeah.
just
Oh,
because
nice.
I know I'm a pain in the ass in the
Right.
restaurant because
Yeah.
I need extra this and low ice and this and that, and I ran her a couple times, so I just felt like the gratuity that was already included just wasn't really
She
enough.
felt
for my
so
liking.
bad for dropping your ice on the floor.
You
after
know
that.
what?
Well, listen, we appreciate you so much, DeVon, for coming
you.
through and helping us out with this book. I know we asked you a lot
Appreciate
of our
y'all.
own personal
No, it's
questions.
good. I love it. I
But
had
this
such
is
a
like
great
a free
time.
session for us.
Yes,
so,
it
you know,
is.
We have to take
Please don't
advantage.
charge us.
Don't send the invoice.
No, just write a
won't.
prescription. You have it. No,
Thank you.
no.
I got
Love
you. Don't worry.
potion.
But we really appreciate it. And I do want to
Yes.
say, like, for the ladies, I have seen all of our growth from when we first started doing this podcast and what our thoughts and views on relationships were
Dope.
to where they are now. And I see a lot of that reflected when I read a book like this,
Amen.
where you discuss that. And I can say, oh, I do that. Oh, I do this. It makes me feel good. Now, some things we got to work on.
A lot.
Yes.
Yeah,
Of
like-
course.
We're all works in progress.
Yes, we are all works in progress, but it's comforting to know that we are growing.
Amen. Absolutely. Thank you all so much.
Thank
Really,
you
really
for writing
appreciate
this
it.
book.
Yes, I
My
was going to say
pleasure.
the same thing. Thank you for writing. I've learned so much so far, and honestly, I haven't finished it yet, but I'm about this
I didn't
close.
Okay,
finish
good.
it all the way.
Good.
And I can't wait to get to the end.
Why do you
Oh,
think
thank
that
you.
it's a lot more women kind of reacting to this than men right now?
It's just the nature of books. You know, I mean, just the book industry in general. Women buy the majority of books.
We read.
Yeah.
Especially in the self-help genre. It's just it's just the way it is.
How do we get men to read more?
They too macho.
This is how the way it works is that women read the books, they start talking about it. It gets to a point where men hear about it so much
And they feel left
have
out.
to engage.
Right.
That's how it's kind of reverse, but that's how it works. So for me, especially with this book, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go and do everything I can to get men, but let me make sure women are a part of this conversation. And so doing conversations like this is so important. And the more that women take hold of this book, we're gonna get to the place where eventually men get it. And there are some men that have already reached out, want information or getting the book. So there's a lot of men out there who want help. And I think
Right.
that's what's great about the opportunity for a book like this. Is a lot of men struggle. And when they see another man who, again, I don't have it all figured out, but when they see another man pointing the way, even sometimes secretly, they reach out. And there have been a lot of men that have surprised me, that have reached out to me personally to get help or to find out what they can do because I've written the book. So
That's dope.
it's important to bring them both into conversation. But because women buy the majority of books, you're going to see a book like this initially be found and read by more women.
It reminds me of the movie. What was the movie Megan was in? That
Think Like a Man.
Think
Yeah.
Like a Man.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the guys started reading the book after they seen the
That's right.
women
That's right.
going
That's-
after it. So that's
how it goes.
absolutely right. Yeah, Think Like a Man.
I know. Now I gotta go see what is it? What
Men
men
Want.
What men want.
Yeah.
Would you
That
want to
comes
be able
out
to
this
read a
weekend.
man's mind?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's dangerous.
Even if it wasn't something that lasted forever.
But think
Nah.
about the things that you think. You think
You
all
said
your
no.
thoughts-
I don't want to read a woman's mind.
Yeah, I don't think you should.
Let me thinking all kind of random
Yeah.
things.
Oh man, no man on this planet could handle knowing what a woman thinks.
And no woman could handle what a man
Nah.
thinks because y'all be thinking some weird things
Yeah, you
probably.
do.
But
One
you know
day.
what though? I think you all could handle it better than we could handle knowing your thoughts.
Because we know what y'all think.
Because
already.
not even just that. It's just that a man, you know, our pride, our ego could probably be hurt so quick.
What about ours?
But you know, I think on some level you already think men think a certain way. So
We're used to
So
it.
we-
yeah, you're kind of more
That's a shame.
accustomed to it. But I think for men, you know, we're raised to think, oh, we're the center of the universe, and then to know a woman's thoughts that she ain't thinking. I
Like,
mean,
he ain't shit.
it could
Right.
be devastating.
We'll be like, man, I know he's not talking to me crazy. His little dick ass. Oh my God.
Right.
You're like, baby, I love you.
My ex is way better.
No, right. Oh no, I don't want to know a woman's thoughts. No, I don't. No, I
I think
don't.
that's a good idea. Just don't.
But we had so much fun with you. Thank you so much,
Thank
Devon.
you.
We really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it as well.
His lip service. Y'all kept it clean.
Yeah, I was scared to curse at first.